With me now, Alex, and criminal lawyer Martin Hood. Evening to you both. Alex, Oscar Pistorius out on bail tonight, continues to be on bail, but no guarantee that he will avoid jail when it comes to sentencing next month.
No guarantee at all. I mean, I think we're set to see basically a mini trial in a month's time, with both the defence and the prosecution arguing their case. The defence obviously about why he should not go to jail, and as part of that legal process, the sentencing process, they will maybe call Oscar Pistorius himself again to try and explain or persuade the judge that there are mitigating circumstances about why he should not serve a jail term. And on the other hand, the prosecution may well call members of the Steenkamp family, Reva's mother or father, and maybe some of her friends to argue the opposite. And the judge has a whole range of options open to her, ranging from a suspended jail sentence, possibly a financial penalty, possibly putting him on probation in lieu of a jail term. And of course, one of the big persuasions that the defence will use is that Oscar Pistorius is a South African sporting hero, a global icon. His whole income, his whole career is based on running, and perhaps he could still serve further in the interests of South Africa if he was allowed to continue that.
Martin, the case has thrown the spotlight on the justice system here and how it works in this country, and a lot of people have views about the verdict, but it's also put under the spotlight the use of firearms.
Indeed. If we look at the evidence of Sean Renz, which was critical in my view to this case, he was called to explain what training Oscar had received and what knowledge he had about the Firearms Control Act, with specific reference to when he could or could not use a firearm in this type of situation. It's the first high-profile case that I'm aware of under our new legislation where the whole concept of competency has actually been canvassed in court. And unfortunately, Judge Masipa completely glossed over it. I think that had she paid more attention to what the competency testing procedure was all about, then she would have been able to come to a conclusion that Oscar did know that he should not shoot in those circumstances. Unfortunately, we now have the converse, and that is that people are saying, are the firearm laws effective enough? Should we perhaps not be revisiting those laws so that we can stop this from happening again? That, unfortunately, I don't think is correct, because it's not the laws, it's the application of the laws and the interpretation of the laws that are a problem in this particular case. But that is most certainly a sentiment that's been expressed.
It's certainly, this case, Alex, has raised an awful lot of questions like that, and it's also polarised opinion in this country, hasn't it?
Very much so. I mean, I think there's maybe been three courts. There's been the court of Judge Masipa, which found him not guilty of murder and guilty of culpable homicide. But there's the court of public opinion. And if you talk to people on the street, more often than not, they will definitely say they're stunned that he didn't get a guilty conviction of murder. Certainly on social media, on the Twitter sphere, they're absolutely condemning of him. And then there's the court of legal experts, who also seem to be, well, Martin said earlier, they were not divided. They definitely seem to think that perhaps the judge has erred in her interpretation of the law. So Oscar Pistorius and his reputation needs to be rebuilt, at the very least. And I think the Pistorius family are very keenly aware of that, and that's why you saw his uncle coming out and addressing the media at this time, and I'm sure he will again after sentencing, to say that there are no victors in this. This is a tragedy for both families, a tragedy for South Africa. They've lost their national hero, basically, at the moment. He needs to rebuild himself, and in a way that the country's been tainted with this huge spotlight, and it's been quite negative overall. It's been very negative, actually.
Do you think that, Martin, at the end of it, perhaps, the positives are being balanced out by some negative thoughts at the end?
I think there's a lot of negative thoughts. We all started this process right at the beginning when the media was allowed into the actual courtroom. We started out thinking this is a showcase for South Africa. It's a world first. It's going to be something that we can use to show the rest of the world that we're not the basket case that we are often portrayed, unfortunately, as in some of the foreign media. And I think it's gone perfectly fine until the end, and the end didn't meet the expectations of what the public and what legal experts had. And I think that showcasing of our legal system has perhaps slipped as a result of that. One can only hope that when it comes to the sentencing, whatever is appropriate in the circumstances is acceptable not only to us but to the rest of the world, that the rest of the world and the public can see that at the end the result was a just result.
Got a feeling the debate on this is going to go on long after the trial. Thank you both very much. Good to talk to you. Thanks.